Hello and welcome. In today's exciting episode, I will be making this beaded trim for my Peach Melba jacket. So let us begin. First of all, you have to decide what size beaded trim you want. So this is a very simple one. It's thin. So obviously the measurements of that one, and it goes right to the edge of the jacket. So obviously the measurements of that one versus something quite wider, which steps in from all the edges, the measurements are going to be quite different. So once you've decided what sort of beading you want, then just measure how big your beaded trim base has to be. So it has to be big enough to go all the way around the back, up the front, around the collar, back down again, and you can put the fake pocket tops on if you want, and there's also the cuffs to measure as well. So once you've got the pattern pieces for the bit on the body, the cuffs, and optional the pocket tops, then you need to get a frame like this frame in the background here that I've just draped some fabric over. It's just a cheap painting frame, stretch canvas from a craft store or a dollar store, and you just take the canvas off and put 2 layers of netting over the top. The netting you can get from any large fabric store like Joann's, and yep, just staple gun that on, then you're ready to start. So I finished the base of sequins. Next I have to decide what color beads to use. This is a sample of the tweed that I've used in the jacket, and I just pulled apart another bit, and this is what it looks like deconstructed. So I've decided I want to focus on the raspberry cream one and the peachy beige one, but I also like the silvery, you can't really see, it's better in the actual tweed. The silvery one I quite like too, so maybe it looks like a sort of pale gold or silver mixed with beige, so I quite like that too. So I'll get out some beads in those sort of colors and go from there. Okay, here we are. I got all the beads out, well, some, in a range of colors. They're a little bit yellow, but they do look very peach-like, so I'm going to keep them. Raspberry, and those ones, and then some other pinks, beiges. They look a bit stone, but they also remind me of peach stones, so I'm keeping them in. The sort of silvery, pinky, pale gold color. Some glass ones for a little bit of weight. Not sure about these orange ones. I just got them out just to check, and I want to find some way to use up these sequin flowers that I made. There's 30 or 40 of them, but yeah, I don't think this is it. They're a little too orange compared to, yeah, if you put too brighter colors on something that dark, that sort of pale, it just makes it look more bland. Whereas if I put these sort of stone colored beige on there, I think it'll brighten it up a little bit when mixed in with the other peach and raspberry ones. So yeah, I think I'll stick with these colors for now, except not the orange ones, not those ones. Yeah, I'm not sure about the glass ones. I do absolutely need the weight of glass beads, but I'm not convinced that they look terribly great once they're on the the sequin base because it's too gappy. They need something really solid and bright behind them to look their best. So I'm not sure if I'll use them, but I'll keep them out for now. So yeah, this is the selection I'm going with. So now I'll start by placing the extra large beads around the trim, around the sequin base, and we'll go from there. Okay, I've placed them and I quite like the look that's emerging. The iridescent coating on those peach really large sequins is a bit much for the camera, but other than that I think they look quite good. And I put some of the glass beads and the transparent plastic peach ones on top of those large sequins, and they look fabulous, so I'm glad about that. So now I have to stitch down all the extra large bead clusters and sequin, which will take an absolute age. And because these bead clusters that I'm using up were made onto not this neutral base, but a black netting and a fluoro yellow netting, what I think I'll do is just once I've stuck them down, I'll put some I'll also stitch down some of the deconstructed tweed over them. So yeah, just to disguise how they were made but maintain their structural integrity. So yeah, here goes. Hours of fun. Okay, I've hand stitched down all the bead clusters, so all the extra large are done, and I've also started on the large, so there's some beads done. And the sequins, I only ended up using about half the sequin, so I think I'll go back over on my next layer and sort of double them up because they look more substantial and they have more depth, because I've got sort of those yellowy peach ones and some apricot ones, so I think they just look better if most of them are doubled up. So I think I'll go back and do that. And also I feel like the raspberries colored bead clusters are a bit splodgy and sparse, so as I'm filling in the extra large beads, I think I'll also add runs of raspberry colored beads just to add some consistency. And yeah, so that's what I'll do now, the next layer of beads. I've just started on this side. I've only done about a third, and I'm using a lot more berry pink magenta colors than I thought I would, but I quite like it. It's very cheerful, so I think I'll go on with this. Well, I have finally finished the berry layer with the berry colored thread, and there are a lot of berry colored beads, but I kind of like it. If I had a dessert that had peaches and raspberry coulis and vanilla ice cream, I would definitely hope that they had a double serve of raspberry coulis available. So there is that justification. Plus, I just think it looks happier with all the pink and red and berry beads. It's very cute. So then I sort of counterweighted that with these sort of pale golden runs of beads. So yeah, and I put in a few more of those big stone ones as well, and the sort of apricot-y peach smaller stone ones, marble ones. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this at the moment. Now I'll just bring out the dress form with the jacket on it so we can compare. Okay, it is very, very bright compared to that, but I don't really mind it. I think my next layer will just be to tone it down, so I'll use those pale apricot small sequins, and some pale pink bugle beads. I'd like to use the micro seed beads and sort of have runs like this throughout the sort of on top of over all of these layers, but it just takes so long when you're using micro beads. And these ones here are bugle beads. They're like 3 or 4 times as big. So yeah, just because I actually want to post this video sometime in the near future, I think I'll use bugle beads instead and get this next layer finished so that I can cut the pieces off the backing and attach them to the jacket. Then edit this video before I can finally post it. Gosh, that's a lot of steps. Okay, next layer of the beading. I shall do that now. And it's done. I finally finished. Yay! So I think the bugle beads and the sequins in those paler colours really toned it down and brought it into matching the lint and tweed really well. So I'll put it up on the sideboard and compare it to the jacket. There we go. Oh, they look really well together. I think the jacket in its natural state sort of is a little less vibrant than I wanted. When I bought the fabric, I think they sort of souped up the colors a bit, so it was very peach and raspberry. And when I got it, I was a bit disappointed that it was sort of beige and pink rather than peaches and raspberries. But yeah, I think this beaded trim has sort of brought it back to those raspberries and peaches tonings. So yeah, I'm really happy with that, but it's still sort of muted enough to actually match. I'm very happy with this. So yeah, next step is to cut it off the frame, pin it and hand sew it onto the jacket. Ugh, this takes forever, so I better get started. Okay, I have cut the beaded trim pieces off the frame and cut them down to size. The next step you would think would be to pin back the excess backing fabric, but actually I find it easier to just check the measurement of the beaded trim on the jacket next, because that way I can use the excess backing fabric to pin the beaded trim to the jacket, because pinning the actual beading is impossible, but if you just put the pins in the netting, then it works quite well. And yeah, this way you can wrap the entire piece around the jacket and you can join up the 2 backs so that the fit is perfect. Well, this doesn't give you much idea at all, but it does fit, and the important part is the back. So it fits, but there's just a little bit of beading. Once the 2 pieces are secured together, there's just a little bit of beading that needs to go over the patch covering the 2, where the 2 pieces meet. So I'll do that now. The 2 pieces have been attached together, and the beading over the top has been filled. So now I just have to turn over the entire piece and pin back the excess backing and stitch it into place before attaching it onto the jacket. So yeah, Turning over the big piece that goes on the body of the jacket is quite cumbersome, but I've just done one of the cuffs to show you. Just turn it over and fold everything back and pin it into place and then stitch it down. So I will now do that on this Colossus piece that goes on the body of the jacket. There we go. They are all stitched down, and so are those ones. So now I just have to pin it to the jacket and hand stitch them all on. I'm part way through hand stitching the beaded trim on the jacket. The bottom part is done. Now I have to do the sides and the top. I've also done the cuffs. So not quite halfway, but I'm getting there. And now I shall continue. Woohoo! It's done! So after you've finished attaching the beading, all you have to do is finish the hems on the cuffs and the bottom of the jacket. Sew the silk to the tweed, and then it's done. It's a bit over the top, I know, but it's sort of inspired by the dessert, the Peach Melba, which was named after Dame Nellie Melba, this old-time opera singer who was very fabulous. And I know when people serve the Peach Melba, there's usually a mint leaf that represents the peach leaf, and I was going to put some little green leaves in here, but I thought sort of seemed like it was trying too hard. And the opera singer was kind of famous for her jewelry collection. It was very bling, lots of tiaras, lots of big brooches and things like that. So I think what I'll do is try and find a big antique brooch that looks like a leaf and just sort of wear it on the shoulder, or I might make one if I can't find one. So yeah, I might do that, and that way it's still sort of abstractly a Peach Melba, but it's also as fabulous as the person the dessert was named after. So yeah, there we go. It's all finished. It is very over the top. I didn't intend it to be quite so spectacularly bling, but I love it. It's delightful. And these raspberries. I'm just gonna want to eat raspberry sorbet every time I catch a glimpse of this jacket or wear it. It's very much going to brighten up my closet because we can't really go out much these days. But yeah, so it's done, and that is how you do the beaded trim for a very bling, very frivolous Chanel style jacket. So go ahead and make your own version now.